Hey, what's going on YouTube? My name is Kongman21 and I'm coming to you today with Rick and Morty at Anatomy Park. Now, the only reason you're seeing the game here and not having it slide in is because I had to go ahead and set the game up a little bit because the setup time does take a little bit, but once you get the setup time going, the game just starts going and going and going. It's a really simple game once you play it a couple times. I mean, you can say that about any game. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into the game here. As you can tell, there are 6 different characters. We have 6 different characters to choose from, because this is based directly off of Anatomy Park Season 1, Episode 3 of Rick and Morty, where you have Poncho, Roger, Dr. Xenon Bloom, and Annie. If Annie can focus there for us, there we go. But just to make this game a little bit simpler, we're going to be starting off with Rick and Morty, because it is a Rick and Morty game. We will be putting everything in the tile tray. Yeah, all the characters do have their own little character and all that, with their own player standee and all that, so that way you can stick them up and have them stand kind of like what Rick and Morty are doing. So we'll go ahead and put them back in the box. Now I do have the rule book right here in front of me, because the rules, oh wow, I'm sorry guys, because the rule book does seem a little huge at first, especially with all the fine print. This is just because this game is made by Cryptozoic, which you know, excuse me. Which, as you know, they always want to make sure everything's explained, because they even have their own FAQ section, which is really good, and that's something we like with Cryptozoic. So I'm going to have the rulebook in front of me just so I can assure that I'm doing everything right. Of course, on the back, they do have their sequence of play, which is really good, and we like Cryptozoic for that. So let me scoop my chair up now that I can engage here. Alright. So the game begins where you basically take your characters that you choose, their standees, and you put them on the typical entrance tile. It is the same on either side, so that way if you do accidentally shuffle it into the humongous tile deck, which is over here, up here in your top left of the screen, you can easily find it without having to look at all the cards and then having to reshuffle them. So Anatomy Park goes right in the middle, and both the characters go on it. Might be helpful if they correspond with their characters. Control cubes give you extra victory points over time. So, at the start of your turn, so everyone is dealt out 3 cards. Well, 3 tiles. This is what you're going to use to build your park, and you get points based on how many tiles you play, how many control cubes you have, and then different quests. So like at the bottom here, Rick has each time you place a face-up tile adjacent to a tile, you move this turn, score 1 additional victory point. And Morty has when you perform the draw action, draw 3 tiles instead and place 1 of them on the bottom of the tile deck. We will get to that here in a moment. So basically everyone rolls to determine who goes first. Roll. And oh, it looks like Morty's going first. So we're going to be starting off with Morty. So Morty has the option to do many different things here. For the start of his turn, if he shares a tile with a disease, and yes, there are a lot of diseases in this game. There are 6 to be in fact, and all the diseases are somewhere hidden inside the bodily reaction deck. This is what you're going to be drawing from the bodily reaction deck anytime a tile tells you to do so, or you move a tile itself. Because remember, you're building everything inside of him. So if you move a tile, that means you're generally moving something inside his body, and his body doesn't like that, so then something's going to happen. Now, in the bottom 13 cards of the deck, randomized because this is how you're supposed to shuffle the deck, in the bottom 13 there are 2 heart attack cards. Inside those heart attacks are ways you will lose the game. I'll just go ahead and pull one out. So here we go. Heart attack. It was the next to last card, but that works. Bodily reaction. Leave this face-up card in front of you after your turn ends. Can it focus? Come on, camera, come back. Leave this card face up in front of you. After your turn ends, Ruben will die in 2 rounds. Ongoing, the next time a heart attack is drawn, the game ends immediately. So a round is whenever everyone plays. So if you somehow flip over both heart attacks, and subsequent turns, Ruben dies, and everyone else dies inside as well. Now, the way to get out of Ruben is there are different tiles you can draw, which are, I believe they're the color green, if I remember correctly off the top of my head, which are your escape hatches, which is how you basically escape Ruben before he dies, and then you die inside of him too. But yeah, so we'll just go ahead and set that back. Now the reason they put them down here is because you don't really want to draw them in the first 2 cards of the game. Like, I'm going to move this tile, heart attack. I'm going to move another tile, heart attack. Well, game's over, because that's not a very fun game now, is it? So anyway, we'll go ahead and remove the diseases here. Go ahead and get them out of the way. They'll just be placed off to the side. So without further ado, so if he could, so essentially at the start of his turn, if he did share, let's say with him, he would have to choose a card out of his hand and then discard it. So, start of his turn, you move your character standee up to the number of spaces up to your character's move value. So looking at Morty, he has a move of 3, a combat of 1, and a range of 3. Unfortunately, since the start of the game, there's nowhere you can really move to. So essentially the move phase is just kind of skip. Oh yeah, also, okay, so you have 3 options during your move phase. You're going to move your character standee. You can move each disease 1 space in any direction. Or you can move a tile that your character is adjacent on or adjacent to 1 space up, down, or left, right in the adjacent empty space. Then you draw a bodily reaction card. Entrance cards, yeah, so your entrance tile and your transit tile, which is what Rick is holding onto here, the bone train, cannot be moved because they are just kind of permanent in place. After that, we go to the action phase. In the action phase, you have 5 different options you can do. You can either draw 2 from the tile stack, but if you're Morty, you would instead get to draw 3 and you get to look at them and then place 1 on the bottom. So we'll pick the focus group because we'll just get that out of the way. Focus groups are kind of an interesting ability. Not really ability, but it takes your turn to play it. We'll get to that one here in a minute. So let's say that he didn't draw these. He can instead place the tile into an empty space adjacent to the tile occupied by your character standee. So he could be the rectum bumper cards, but to place it, you need to have a food next to it. And then the daily krill, you score 1 victory point for each adjacent brown tile, so like these and all that. Your victory points are scored up here. This is how many victory points you get over time. The daily krill, you only get this whenever the game ends. That's what the stars are there for. You can also play a focus group tile, which when you then follow up by placing a tile. So you can technically drop the focus group, and then you can then follow up by placing a tile, which is really good because that way if you happen to match, if you're able to place a tile next to a food and a brown and your character, then you score 1 additional victory point and you draw 2 tiles, which is really good. If you're on a green tile, let me see if I can, I'm just going to dig through here, see if I can find a green tile. Of course, the first one I find is the anus. Again, you don't have to like match this out to a real body, so you can have like the lungs here and then the anus here. I mean, I don't know much about the human body, but I know those aren't next to each other. But just for the game's purpose, you can place them wherever. This is what an exit tile looks like. It is green and it says exit on it. Score 1 victory point if played before the first heart attack. Basic game, when you exit, you gain 3 victory points. So just exiting the body, you get 3 victory points automatically. You can technically exit at any time, but that gives all your opponents and teammates times to catch up with you. So we're just going to go ahead and put that back on top of the tile deck. Or instead of exiting, your 5th and final decision is you can shoot a disease within range with a number of dice based on your character's combat value. Any number 6 kills it. So let's say that this disease is sharing a tile with them. Here, let me just do this the easy way, just so I can show you guys like range and all that. Let's say that the disease is up here in the top right corner. Morty has a combat of 1 and a range of 3, so that is 1, 2, 3 tiles. Everything is either side to side or up and down. Nothing is diagonally. So Morty would roll, and he rolled a 4. Since he did not roll a 6, he did not kill it. We would go to Rick's turn. Just for example, he would roll 2, and Rick did roll 1, 6, so this would die and the disease would go away. And let's see if we can find that one. That is hepatitis A. For killing it, you get 3 victory points and draw 1 tile. So it is kind of a hunting game as well if you want to try and hunt down all the diseases and all that, just so you can assure points and all that. The best way to keep track of points is your own little baggie. You get your baggie full of victory point tokens that it has 1 on this side and then 3 on the other side. Also make sure you check under your gaming tray, because I don't know if ours... Oh! Actually I knocked the box lid over there. For some odd reason under ours there were 3 tiles. Not 3 tiles, but 3 victory points. I don't know if that was there from the few times we played this. But just check to make sure. If you have to, rattle the box a little bit. Make sure there's nothing under there. It might have just been a mistake on our end, but just in case, make sure you guys check. You don't want anyone losing any pieces. So this is actually a pretty simple game. Like I said, the setup time takes a little bit, but once you get the ball rolling, it gets rolling. The only thing you really need to understand is with the transits, whenever you place this, you put the top 4 tiles of the tile deck face down in a straight line adjacent to this. So just for the sake of room and all that, we'll scoot all this over, even though you really can't do that. But I'm just laying this out so you can see the tiles go out and all that. Now from here, this only counts as 1 movement. It goes 1, and then all of this is 2. From here, you can generally build off of any adjacent square and all that. Of course, making sure everything permits and all that. So like, requires an adjacent food, that could go there, and this could tend to go up there if you wanted to. But you get the idea. So it would be 1, and then it would be 2 onto any of this. Because remember, it's 1. There's a technically free movement, so you could go. I'm just trying to clarify this so I don't sound like I'm being too vague. So it's 1 hex, well, 1 tile, 2 tiles, or 2 tiles, 2 tiles, and so on and so forth until you actually get off and then you walk somewhere else. But yeah, that has been Anatomy Park. Basically, the objective of the game is to score as many of these victory points as you can, which you score from up here. Or if you're Rick, if I can look at him, he has each time you play a face-up tile, each time you play a face-up tile adjacent to a tile, you move this turn, score 1 additional victory point. So yeah, basically you collect these victory points. The game ends whenever either everyone leaves the body or the body dies on its own. If you die, you lose all your victory points because, well, you're not there to claim any victory or anything. So this has been Anatomy Park. We'll quickly go over the other 4 character cards and all that, just so you can get an idea of what you want to play. Poncho is a move 2, combat 3, range 2. When you kill a disease, score 1 additional victory point or draw 1 tile. That is for Poncho. We have Roger, who is move 2, combat 2, range 3. During your turn, you are unaffected by other players' ongoing bodily reactions. Diseases and heart attacks still affect you. Dr. Xenon Bloom, 2/2/2. That's pretty nice. Each time you place a face-up park tile, you may move 1 space. The transit does not apply. So if you're playing Xenon Bloom and you drop a tile, you are then allowed to move a free space. Then you got Annie, who is move, combat, range, all 2. Then get the camera to focus here. If a disease or foe is on or adjacent to your space at the start of your turn, move +2, combat +1, and range +1. So that's actually pretty good and all that. Just for the sake of it, we will also go through some of the bodily reactions. You have your bubonic plague, your heart attack, the E. coli, another heart attack because that's what kills it, the sneezing, if we can get the sneeze to focus. Alright, it appears bird person does not want to focus for us. A headache, oh there we go, sharding, passing a kidney stone, farting, coughing, hiccuping, oh, poor Morty, tuberculosis, the chills, drooling, I like how they're both drooling together, that's cute, muscle cramps, dry heaving, sloshed, hepatitis A, followed up by hepatitis C, which hates hepatitis A, aggressive bowel movements, and orgasm, burping, abdominal bloating, and gonorrhea. So yeah, this has just been kind of like a quick little recap of Anatomy Park. I understand that this wasn't exactly the best game review and all that, or best how to teach you how to play the game. But all in all, Anatomy Park is actually a really good game. I wouldn't say it's the best Rick and Morty game out there, in my personal opinion. Again, that's my personal opinion, because I still prefer Closer Encounters of the Red Kind. But again, that's just my personal opinion. I know some of my friends who prefer Anatomy Park over all the others, and that's good for them, because everyone is entitled to their own opinion. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. If you have any questions, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section down below. And with that, I guess we will just see you all in the next video. And you guys are awesome.